It ain't easy being Halcyon's Grim Reaper. You come into contact with some people who refuse to accept their fate. Sometimes the trusty plasma scythe just ain't enough to get a job done. The vile creatures you encounter stare death in the face with no fear whatsoever. I grew tired of committing the countless acts of murder, so when arriving on Monarch I came with one goal in mind: peace. Unfortunately, as you'll soon realize, peace is often more difficult to obtain than total destruction. It would have been much easier to kill every resident of this sulfurous hellscape of a planet, and as time went on, my detest for this pathetic sphere of useless rot grew beyond anyone's control, including my own.
The events you're about to witness are highly edited and based on honest frustration. The names and location are not changed and the quest is standard. There will be inevitable spoilers, so view at your own discretion. When arriving in Stellar Bay, there is an MSI rookie named Grim, whose sole purpose in life is to greet people coming down the elevator. I ignore him completely and make a beeline to the real decision makers of this town. I speak to Celia Robbins first because she says greetings, which is the optimal way to start any conversation. I like Celia, but I have no interest in her love life or what she spends her money on. The real reason I'm coming here was to speak to Sanjar Nandi. He immediately goes into this passionate speech about statistical improvements he has supposedly made pertaining to their goods and services.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse?
Sanjar is an ex-board member who wants to earn his way back into good graces, but of course he needs your help defending Stellar Bay by sending you on a fetch quest for a Bolt 52 cartridge, and casually mentions wiping data off a terminal since we'll be there anyway. It seems like a fairly simple request, a little bit of a walk, no big deal.
Oh, there's raptidons everywhere, oh god,
This battle with the Raptidons resulted in an optional traumatic stress, which I decided to develop because I'm completely incapable of any forethought regarding this particular questline. After erasing the hit piece on Sanjar and assuring the safety of this dummy named Huxley, she immediately proceeds to lie about the ability to reward my efforts. An action such as this would usually be met with a vicious attack causing a painful death due to multiple lacerations. But I am determined to show this world that I am a changed man, so she gets to putter along back to Amber Heights unharmed. Once returning to Stellar Bay, I see old lady Agnes hollering about her lost son, how he is a fragile soul who got caught up in the wrong crowd and ran away from his home. She insists that Tucker is either dead or held captive by iconoclasts, a group that is known for stealing little boys. And what kind of a cold-hearted monster would I be if I didn't help this poor woman find her son? But first I gotta ask Sanjar about this weapon of mass destruction I just stole for him. Upon receiving the Bolt 52, he starts getting a raging hard-on for bureaucracy and wants me to help him cut out some of the competition he has in the business, but then drops the "you people" line on me. And I don't fucks with that, Sanjar. Watch your mouth. In fact, I saw that report the board wrote about you, homie. There's some nasty shit in there.
So it would be best if you could leave her in one piece. Is that how you people put it? Of course.
This conversation got me all riled up, so trying my best to avoid conflict, I go for a walk and decide to embark on my heroic journey to rescue baby Tucker. When reaching Amber Heights, I'm greeted by Rose, whose first impression consists of trying to give me a pamphlet she doesn't have. Her blatant disregard for urgency, along with the forced dialogue session, has now transcended this game's storyline and somehow found its way into the video, making her one of the most maliciously useless characters ever created. Not only that, but it turns out Tucker is a full-grown adult, which shouldn't be surprising seeing as how his mother is slipping into dementia, so I threaten to beat her up if he doesn't go home and take care of her.
Yeah, what in the nebula is wrong with you? She's an old woman. You'd threaten my flesh and blood just to get me to do what you want?
After that fiasco, I meet up with Zora and Graham. The former is a rational, level-headed leader who wants what's best for her people, and the latter is a dribbling idiot she has to listen to. See, Graham wants to spread the word of philosophism and sends me on a suicide mission to retrieve a printing press. Now, just so everyone is on the same page here, we arrived on a spaceship. We are on a planet with air that eats paper, and our mission is to retrieve ink rollers for an old printing press. Okay, well, off we go. Unfortunately, this grumpy goober Niles tries to stop me from getting into the warehouse, then bullies me into bribing him. I thought for sure I could get my money back by brutally murdering him like a prostitute in Grand Theft Auto. However, I was punished for this sin because the bits have mysteriously vanished. Upon entering the warehouse, we are met with a disgruntled employee who did half my job for me and then gives me her 2 weeks' notice. After a job well done, I head back to Amber Heights like Santa Claus. Graham is ecstatic about these rollers, plus Zora wanted supplies or some shit, so I got that too. But that wasn't good enough for her. No, she wanted to make sure that her friends were alive and started throwing a tantrum like a little drama queen. Luckily, Graham sent them to the old printing press, and since I'm going there to fix it, everything is gonna be hunky-dory and there's no need to make a big deal over it. Besides, it would take a literal army of raptidons to stop me.
Oh god, an army of raptidons. Oh lord, oh no.
Okay, so we got the dumb printing press working for Graham's dumb idea and went out of our way to make sure that the dumb Vanoys were safe, so it's time to head back with the good news. Graham is thrilled at the idea of spreading his narcissism across the galaxy, but the whole time we were gone, Zora's been bitching about her missing friends. I go to give her some clever sarcasm about not finding them, but unfortunately she took this joke as a literal statement. So you know what? Fuck the Vanoys, fuck the printing press, and fuck you, Zora. I'm going back to Stellar Bay. It appears Tuk Tuk was in fact a good son. Agnes has someone to sit with now, so she pays me with her life savings and gets to live. The main story dictates that I feed this alcoholic some pills, which finally gives me the opportunity to send Felix back to the ship, to never be let out again. That unbearable doofus has done nothing but complain and shoot me with grenades. So now me, Nyoka, and Pravarti get to go on our merry little adventure to Devil's Peak, which is conveniently halfway across the fucking planet. But nothing can stop a determined Grim Reaper from achieving peace on Monarch. Not even this mega mantiqueen, or its presumed lover, Berthold Fox. Eventually, we reach the radio tower and meet our newest friend, the broker. Unfortunately, he's like everyone else on this planet and will only converse with you through intercom, and refuses to meet in person until we commit multiple murders for him. I was thrilled to do so. Finally, after letting me into his special boy room, he informs me that he doesn't want to share his radio station with Stellar Bay or the iconoclast, so I do the rest of my chores for Sanjar and he agrees to stop the transmissions. Meanwhile, Graham is sucking his thumb off in the distance, so he won't be a problem. I go back to the broker and tell him how I helped everyone get along and make everyone happy. Then I turn on the radio thinking I just completed a job well done, until a massive ship crashes and it turns out everyone lied to me. After listening to them bicker for a while, I find out that this ship has a doodad in it that both the MSI and the iconoclast want, so we are met with a decision on who gets to play with it. To be honest, at this point, what little charm they had has worn off, and I was sick of the orange, yellow, brown color palette of this shitty planet, so they could just retreat back to their respective houses and eat a dick. But I came here on a mission of peace, and I swear on our great Lord and Savior, the flying spaghetti monster, that I will not leave this planet until these factions unite. So I get into the crash site, and of course the Raptidons are hanging out like a bunch of smoking teenagers at a gas station. But once banishing them to the Pastafarian hell, I'm rewarded with the best section of dialogue in the whole game, which is delivered by Jen, the chief engineer. She carried this entire mission on her back, so may her soul rest in peace.
Hello, my name's Jen. I'm the chief engineer on this gunship, and I'd like to let the record show that our captain is a total fucking hullhead. I told him again and again that without fixing our regulators, spinning up the engines are going to blow through our coils and we'll go flying off in a completely random direction. Well, here we are. Thinking we'll hit soil in about 30 seconds. This is your chief engineer signing off for what is probably the last time. It's a shame you can't see this middle finger I'm holding up, because I'm doing it as hard as I can.
After receiving the canned canker sore candy butt plug, I head over to Sanjar to establish dominance over the situation and tell him that he can't have it unless him and Zora make out. But even though he's actively had me remove his personal record from existence, he wants me to do a full background check on her before he's willing to commit. This would have been simple if not for the several armed guards and mechanized war machines standing between me and the computer holding her file in it. But don't worry, because it was only a huge pain in the ass that could have been avoided. I look at her file, turns out it's top notch, going back to Sanjar using a 6 speedrun strat I accidentally discovered. He says that if she's DTF, it's chill, so I rush over to Amber Heights and offer up the deal of a lifetime. No more death, no more chaos, and a powerful ally along with supplies for her dying people. And despite all that I've done for her, she responds by saying this.
Too bad. Had I a reliable third party I could trust to set up a meet, maybe I'd consider it. With all the help you've done here, at first I thought it could have been you. But you couldn't even get the Van Nuys back. I don't think you're capable of protecting us if Sanjar's planning an ambush. So no, in another life, maybe that could have worked out for all of us. In this one, we're going to war.
I was absolutely speechless, which is fitting because there was no dialogue options. All I wanted to do was make Monarch into a happy little sunshine planet where everyone gets along, and standing in front of me is an airheaded buffoon who is willing to give up her entire fucking settlement in a war because her friends didn't want to come home yet. I hope the Van Nuys died out there after I left. After thinking long and hard about chopping her into ribbons, I decided that since she pissed me off so much, I was willing to forego my only melee run just for her. Then I gave the play toy to Sanjar, assuring the death of every single iconoclast and bringing the destruction to any hope they had left of a happy ending. But that's not what I came here to do. And I don't want you to feel any pity for Zora. She deserves to burn to death for all of eternity, because this meant that I had to load my last save back to wherever the fuck the Van Nuys were. Lo and behold, they were safe just how I left them, but it turns out that the whole reason they didn't go back is because I talked to the wrong one.
That was a hell of a soiree.
And even after that, it took some convincing because they wanted to make sure that their definitely dead medic was definitely dead. How fucking sad. Now kick rocks before I chop you into little squares and serve you to the Mather family. Because now I gotta show Zora you're alright, go back to Stellar Bay, get my money from old lady Agnes, give the drunk her pills, go back to Devil's Peak, talk shit with the broker, do extra chores for Sanjar, turn on the radio, have everyone lie to me, watch the ship crash again, listen to Jen the chief engineer because she's the only woman I'm capable of loving, go to Sanjar, get Zora's file, go back to Sanjar, and finally go talk to Zora, but the plot twist is now she's still not happy.
Graham's got the right idea, but he isn't the right guy to execute it.
Turns out Graham did a shitty things for shitty reasons and didn't tell anyone, but I was able to figure out in like 3 minutes, so she wants to kill him. And you know what? Despite this being an intense conversation about a man failing to uphold his seemingly fragile moral standard and how ego is a force capable of corrupting any person, she could just fucking kill him because fuck Graham and fuck everyone else on Monarch.
That's the last of them.
Iconoclast, asshole.
Plus, if Graham dies, this means that finally, after all that backtracking, Sanjar and Zora are willing to reach a compromise in the old church. And I didn't care what they had to say, what problems they had with each other, or what pointless arguments they wanted to have, because at the end of the day, two rival factions walked in there, but walked out as close allies. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what the story of Halcyon's Grim Reaper is all about. My victory was being able to stand proudly in the dilapidated church with the nice hat that I found on top of the rotting cranium of someone's leftover skeletal remains. And even though Monarch is essentially one big garbage fire, sometimes I think back to the fond memory I had listening to Jen the chief engineer, to remind myself how someone can enter your life and effortlessly improve a bad situation. I don't know what's in store for Zora and Sanjar, and honestly, I've stopped caring already. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you didn't, please leave a dislike and no less than 12 comments explaining why. Feel free to subscribe, but at this point, it's more of a sign of appreciation more than anything. Most importantly, have a wonderful day, and peace.